Okay, so last page. Okay, let's review a little bit about your page number 2. So page number 2, basically, we done 3 graphs. Yeah, basically, we done 3 graphs. All these graphs, all these 3 graphs can represent, can indicate something called economic growth. So once again, economic growth means, okay, the country, like your country, can produce more things, more either goods and services. Okay, kind of has no relationship with the money, has no relationship with the quantity of money is being circulated in your country, has no relationship with money. Economic growth means we can produce more goods and services. So we can use PPC, long run AS, and long run PC. So 3 graphs to represent, to indicate, oh, in our country, we can produce more things. But you need to be careful about those kind of directions. If you do outward shifting of the PPC, okay, if you do outward of shifting of the PPC, okay, that means we can produce more. If you shift long run AS to right, okay, that means we can produce more. But be careful about the third one. If we shift long run Phillips curve to left, and the intersection of a long run Phillips curve and the horizontal line is called the natural rate of unemployment. Natural rate of unemployment, because the unemployment rate has an inverse relationship with the GDP. Right? So if GDP shifts to right, increases, okay, that means the unemployment rate will decrease. So inverse relationship. So your third graph, you should shift long run PC to left to represent, to indicate, to show that we have economic growth. Okay, so remember these 3 graphs. So page number 2 is about how we graphically show that we have economic growth. Let's move on to the last page. This is the last page. Naturally, then the next question we should consider, oh, how we grow our economy, why we can produce more things, how we can grow our economy. So 2 fundamental factors. The first one is if you can get more natural resources. Okay, and another one basically is about technology. More resources, economic growth, better technology, economic growth. Okay, but here we need to be more specific because in the first week we learned we have 3 different types of resources. Okay, resource in field of economics refers to anything. Resources can be anything. If you can use A to produce something different, for example, B, then A is called resources for producing B. But we learned there are totally 3 different types of resources. Okay, so we need to discuss all these 3 different types of resources one by one, like about how we can find, for example, the first type of resources is natural resources. So what is a natural resource? Those are things we can directly get from our natural environment. Okay, not produced by human beings. Okay, it's not produced by human beings. We can directly get from our natural environment. Okay, like a crude oil, like a forest, like a water, like a solar energy. All these things are not done by human beings, not produced by human beings. So we directly get those things from our natural environment. So how we can find, how we can get more natural resources by discovering, basically, because we cannot produce by ourselves, by human beings. Okay, so by discovering more natural resources, okay, we can get more natural resources. So number B, okay, another type of resources we need to use is manpower, human resources. Okay, so how we can get more natural resources? Okay, if the birth rate in your country can be increased, or if the country can attract more foreign laborers, like new immigrants. Okay, in these two cases, okay, we can grow several labor force. Okay, for example, Canada, for example, here, right here in Canada, the birth rate is super low. The birth rate is super low. So how we can deal with the decreased labor force? Okay, Canadian government they want to attract more foreign laborers, like new immigrants, foreign laborers, come here, work here, come over here, work here in Canada. Okay, by attracting more foreign laborers, more immigrants, then we can have more labor force. But the third one, okay, third one is the most important thing. Recall that the third type of resources we need to use is called capital. Capital. So what is a capital? Once again, capital isn't money. Okay, capital is the money. Capital is the money. Capital refers to equipment, machineries, tools, this kind of thing. Producers use to do the production. Okay, so Starbucks is the use of coffee makers. So coffee maker is a stock. Tools equipment. Okay, once again, capital stock means tools equipment. So Air Canada, like they use airplanes to do the transportation. So airplanes for Canada is called a capital stock. Okay, so capital stock once again, any tools, any equipment, any machineries, any kind of a physical assistance you need is called capital stock. Then the next question is how we can have more capital stock. How we can have more capital stock to do the production. So the answer here is, okay, if we can have a low interest rate environment, economically speaking. Okay, for example, if the central bank in your country increases money supply, okay, if we got more money being circulated in our economy, financial market, the interest rate will decrease. And then next step, remember this will be super important. If the interest rate has been lowered, what will happen? The next step, all the business, all the producers, all the firm, they will borrow more money to do the investment. And strictly the definition of investment is the money spent on capital goods. Like if the interest rate can be lowered in your country, Starbucks, they will borrow more money to buy more coffee makers. Air Canada, they will buy more airplanes. All kinds of business producers, they will buy more productive tools they need because the interest rate is very low. Kind of is a good opportunity for them to expand their business, to grow their production ability. Okay, so once they spend more money, borrow more money, spend more money on capital goods, so what will happen? Something called capital formulation will happen. So we as a country, all the producers, okay, we can accumulate more capital. So that is a good for long economic growth. Because as a country, as a country as a whole, we get more, once again, productive tools, equipment, machineries. So we get more capital resources. So that is good for economic growth. Okay. Most important thing. Okay, so we done the resource part. Okay, so we done the resource part. We talk about, we mentioned how we can grow, so how we can have more each of the three, each and every type of resources. Okay, so another fundamental determinant of economic growth is the technology. Okay, the technology. So how economists in the field of economics, how we can, because we are not learning about physics, right? Because we are not learning about the physics. If we are learning physics, so basically we will learn, okay, why this year's CPU is faster than the CPU we used last year. Like why this year's MacBook is stronger than the MacBook we used last year. But we are not learning about the physics. We are learning about economics. So in the field of economics, we can use another indicator to measure the technology production ability in your country. So something called labor productivity. Okay, labor productivity. So what is a labor productivity? Higher labor productivity means a typical worker in your country during a given time period, for example, 1 hour. During this standard time period, for example, 1 hour, if they can produce more, if they can produce a higher level GDP, okay, that means the technology productivity in your country is at a high is at a higher level. Okay, let's repeat again. If a typical labor, okay, for example, during 1 hour, okay, they can produce a higher level GDP. Okay, that means that the technology, the productivity in your country is stronger than another country. So by contrast, okay, if a typical worker in your country during 1 hour only can produce a few things. So if you can produce just a fewer things, so the GDP can be produced during 1 hour should be a very low number. So that means that the productivity capability, technology, productivity is a very low in your country. Okay, so that's it. So naturally we want to grow, so we want to increase the productivity, right? So how we can grow the productivity? So number one, make sure, okay, so workers in your country can have more capital resources to work with. Okay, so if in those developed countries, okay, maybe there are a lot of robots. Okay, those manufacturing workers, imagine they can work with a lot of robots, because they can work with computers, AI, all this high tech stuff. Okay, then the workers there should be very productive. Okay, so if your country can make some technology progress, okay, so naturally, so third one, better education background. Okay, if all those workers in your country have a better education, higher educational level, at least they have a bachelor degree. Okay, so workers with a better educational background, okay, should be, generally speaking, can be more effective. Okay, and the last one, make sure you have a good, healthy care system so you can maintain the healthy of all the manufacturer workers in your country. Okay, so if they are healthy, they can be more effective. Okay, but once again on note number page number 3, the most important thing is the third one. Okay, the third one. So always remember, okay, if the interest rate can be lowered, okay, how the producers will respond to this? They will borrow more money from RBC, from TD, from BMO, from Scotiabank to expand their business, for purchasing more resources, for purchasing more tools, equipment, machineries, whatever they need, like the Starbucks, they will buy more coffee makers. Okay, so to do their business. So in that case, GDP will increase. Okay, so this is a note number 5. Note number 6. So I give you guys note number 6. Note number 6 is about note number 6 and the note number 7 is the last part, is a very, very last part of economics. The last 2 lecture notes. So if you can download this 2 handouts, you open this PDF document, you can see the title. The last part is basically about international economics. So what do I mean by international? International economics is about the economic connections between different countries, kind of. Okay, we will talk about the last part of the macroeconomics. So we will talk about how kind of we can connect 2 different countries together economically. So basically, there are 2 different ways. You either do international trade. By doing international trade, for example, Canada has a relationship with the USA. Because the people in Alberta, they export crude oil, natural gas every day to USA. And we live in Vancouver, we kind of buy a lot of things actually made by USA. Like we buy a lot of every day we buy a lot of fruits, vegetables actually made by California, made by Mexico. You see, this is called international trade. So people in different countries, they exchange goods and services with each other. Okay, this is called international trade. So note number 6 is about international trade. And then note number 7, so beside the international trade, how we can kind of connect the two different countries together. So by doing something called international finance. So what do I mean by international finance? Okay, let's have an example here. 2 examples actually. Okay, first example. So you are Canadian. You are Canadian. Okay, you're working, you live in Vancouver, you work here. Okay, so but there is no regulation saying that you must deposit your monthly income into RBC, into a Canadian bank. Right? There is no such a regulation. If you got a reason, okay, you can go to USA, you can go to Seattle, you can open a banking account at USA. Actually, you can deposit your monthly income into your US banking account. If you got a reason to do that, because that is totally okay. By depositing your monthly income into a US bank, okay, you kind of inject your money into US financial industry, into US financial market. Right? By doing that, kind of money is leaving from Canada, flowing to USA through internet. You can do that. You can just open an account and click. Yeah, you just deposit, for example, part of your monthly income into a US bank. You can totally do that. You see financial market in different countries, in other countries, because they are not isolated. They are not isolated from other countries. They are connected with each other through internet. Another example is actually a lot of Canadians, they don't buy Canadian stocks. Okay, a lot of Canadians, they actually invest their money into USA's stock market. Because of the return rate in long run, okay, historically speaking, the return rate, okay, given by the US stock market is higher than the Canadian stock market. So worldwide investors actually are willing to, okay, invest a lot of money into US stock market. Okay, but we don't want to invest all the money like domestically to buy those stock traded in Canadian market. You see, this is another example of international finance. Okay, once again, we can connect it financial market of different countries together, once again, through internet. Okay, basically this kind of thing, this part of stuff, this trunk is called international economics. Okay, by saying international, by adding international before economics, we are talking about economic connections between two different countries. But note number 6, we focus more on international trade. But as you can see, the lecture notes here actually is very short, only 3 pages. So what is the reason? Actually, we have learned the most important thing of international trade. Basically, it's about how to calculate comparative advantage, how to calculate absolute advantage, comparative advantage, like who has a lower opportunity cost. This part, we have learned this part in your notes number 1. Last year September, we already learned the most important part of international trade. So if you got time, you should review your notes number 1 regarding how to calculate comparative advantage. Maybe later we will do 1 or 2 practical example to review once again how to calculate comparative advantage. Okay, but yeah, we will do that later. But let's finish. So let's finish our notes number 6. Beside the comparative advantage, okay, one more thing you should know is about how to calculate something called a balance of trade. So what is the balance of trade? Balance of trade actually means net exporting. Okay, denoted by uppercase letter X. We actually have learned about how to calculate net exporting, right? So in the first notes, your first lecture notes of macroeconomics. So in the first notes of macroeconomics, we learned GDP equals to consumption plus investment and the governmental spending and the net exporting. You see, the uppercase letter X here represents something called the net exporting. And how you calculate net exporting. So the total value of the exported goods and services minus the value of all the goods and services we import from foreign countries. Okay, this part kind of is a formula. So once again, it's a total exporting minus importing. Total exporting minus importing. And then the next step, naturally you can understand net exporting not necessarily is a positive number and not necessarily is a negative number. So really depends on which one is bigger, right? If the exporting is greater than importing, like foreigners demand a lot of things made by your country. And the residents in your country actually demand a lesser quantity of goods and services made by foreigners. So in such a case, so you can get exporting greater than importing. So by using this formula, by applying this formula, so we can get a positive calculation result. So if you can get a positive calculating result, you got something called a trade surplus. Okay, loosely speaking, simply speaking, trade surplus is kind of the good thing. So we can be very happy with a trade surplus if we got trade surplus. Because the money is flowing into your country, because we are making money from foreign countries. So kind of is a good thing, right? By contrast, if importing greater than exporting greater than exporting. So for whatever the reason, people in your country buy a lot of things made by foreigners. But no foreigners are willing to buy goods and services made in your country. So in such a case, money is leaving from your country, flowing to foreign countries. So kind of is a bad thing. So this is called trade deficit. Okay, and kind of is a terrible situation. Money is leaving from your country because the people in your country, for whatever the reason, buy a lot of things made by foreign countries. Okay, so this is the first part, number one here. Now you can calculate. Now you know how to calculate net exporting. So then the next question is, okay, why? Why your country can be a trade deficit country? So first thing I want to clarify here, some of you may think only those are poor countries, developing countries, have a trade deficit, but not necessarily, okay, but not necessarily developed the country. Actually, in real life, US actually is a trade deficit country. Yeah, it is a real thing. USA actually is a trade deficit country. Okay, so here number two, we will discuss some common reasons, including those developed country, why they can be a trade deficit country. The first reason, yeah, super straightforward, is is due to inferior quality. Okay, so no foreigners are willing to buy the goods and services made by your country. Okay, due to bad quality. Okay, number B. Okay, number B is a reason why, like the USA, finally turns out to be actually is a trade deficit country. Because in those developed countries, like to do localized production, I mean the cost is very high. Okay, like the local human resources cost is very high, like the cost of raw materials is very high. So the local to do the local production, the producers they need to pay a lot of money as their production cost. To save money, a lot of, for example, American companies like Nike, like Apple, like Tesla, they don't physically produce their products domestically in USA, right? They do the production, they actually physically assemble their products like iPhone, iPad, these things actually in China to save the human resource costs. Okay, and then those American companies import, yeah, those things assembled by Chinese workers back to USA. Okay, so finally, USA actually is a trade deficit country. Okay, the third one, countries like Singapore, like a really small countries, they really don't have nothing to export. Okay, if you have nothing export, especially you are a very small country. Okay, maybe you will finally be a trade deficit country because you have nothing to export. Okay, number D, your currency is overpriced. So how many things you can export, okay, has a very close relationship with the exchange rate, right? So if your currency is overpriced, appreciated currency, okay, make the goods and services made by your country getting more expensive for foreigners. So in such a case, in such a scenario, you can the natural supporting, I guess, will decrease because the foreigners will buy less things, demand less things made by your country. So notes number 7, we will talk about this like in greater details. Notes number 7 basically is about the exchange rate. Okay, and how to build the so-called foreign currency market. Okay, and how we can determine what is the exchange rate between Canadian dollar and American dollar. Why Canadians, we need to, like roughly speaking, we need to use like a 1.3 Canadian dollars to exchange it to buy just a 1 unit of USD. Okay, why is it the case? Okay, we will learn this in notes number 7. So number E is another reason why the high income country also can be a trade deficit country. Okay, because of the purchasing power of USD, of a US dollar is pretty high, especially when they purchase those goods and services made by Asia countries. Because of the purchasing power of USD is super high. So with a so naturally the Americans buy a lot of things made by Asia countries. The purchasing power of USD is very high because they buy those things actually made by Asia, like Chinese workers. So they naturally buy a lot of things. So making USA finally a trade deficit country. Okay, we just quickly go over all these reasons. Actually, they don't test you about this part. We just go over them. Okay, but these are reasons I think they are less tested in the re-examination, I guess. The last two part, okay, the last two, 6.2, we will talk about the two different types of trade restrictions. Okay, trade restrictions. So, okay, still using our USA's example, we mentioned, okay, a lot of like American firms, American companies like Nike, like Apple, like Tesla, they don't physically produce the products by themselves, not physically produce the products domestically in USA. They just like they build factories in China. Okay, let the Chinese workers to save the human resource costs. They let the Chinese workers to physically do the production. Okay, so American firms, if all American firms build their factories plant in China, so this can lead to a very important problem is that the domestic unemployment rate will increase because the domestic American workers will, especially in manufacturing industry, will lose their job. Okay, so the domestic employment will increase. To deal with this, under Trump administration, okay, American government imposes a lot of trade restrictions on the goods and services made in China. So what do I mean by adding trade restrictions? So Trump wants to reduce the quantity of goods and services American imported from China to promote domestic. The main reason is to promote domestic employment rate, to protect domestic manufacturer workers in the manufacturing industry. So the first type of thing, actually, we have learned the tariff graph, okay, in your macroeconomics, I guess in notes number 4. So in notes number 4, we did a welfare analysis for the importing tariff. So let's do the graph, review the graph again. So let's build a, for example, I guess the example I remembered is called the pencil market. Okay, they got the pencil market. So for example, this is American pencil market. So if Americans, they produce a pencil by themselves, because of the human resources, cost of the human resources are very high, price of raw materials is very expensive. So the domestically produced pencil, the price I mean, is super expensive. So the P star here equals to $4. And the Q is here. Okay, but pencils with the same quality, if produced by Chinese workers, the price can be very low. Okay, so we label this by world price. Okay, only $2. Okay, once again, because of the wage you need to pay for Chinese workers is super low, is lower than the wage you need to pay for American workers. And the price of raw materials, okay, price of everything in China is lower. Okay, so if you just let Chinese workers to physically do the production, you can save a lot of money as the producer. Okay, so you got a price difference, okay, between like a pencil produced by Chinese workers and a pencil produced by American workers. And the next step, if China and the USA, if they can do free international trade without any tariff, without any government regulation, American consumers, they are only willing to buy cheaper Chinese pencil with the same quality. Nobody is willing to buy domestically produced, like very expensive American work, pencils are produced by American workers. So the domestic pencil price will decrease because nobody are willing to buy $4. Buy a pencil whose the price is $4. Everybody buy pencil produced by Chinese workers, so the domestic price will decrease. So with the $2, the price, okay, the quantity demanded is here, and the quantity supplied is here. So the quantity supplied is declining, is decreasing. Because American producers has no conditions to compete with the Chinese producer. Okay, so some of American producers will withdraw the market, or they just reduce the quantity they produce. Okay, so if they reduce the quantity of their production, so this can lead to a big problem is the unemployment rate. US's unemployment rate is increasing, will increase. Okay, unemployment will increase. Right, because American producers, they lay off laborers. They reduce the quantity they produce at the same time that means they need to lay off laborers. Everybody just only buy pencils made by Chinese workers. Okay, no consumers are willing to buy domestically produced pencils. So American firms, they lay off their laborers higher. So the unemployment rate increases. So how we can deal with this problem, okay, as a US government. So under Trump administration, okay, Trump, they just add a high tariff on goods and services made by China. So I should change in another color, maybe blue. Okay, so what is the effect of a tariff? We just vertically shift this horizontal line. World price is a horizontal line, vertically up. So we label the second line here by world price plus per unit tariff. Okay, by adding this tariff, actually we are making goods and services made by China more expensive. Okay, so if we do this, we can increase the domestic pencil price. So you see, by doing this, okay, domestic producers now they can produce more. If they want to produce more, they hire more laborers. Okay, so the high employment rate problem here can be fixed a little bit. Because the domestic factories, they are hiring more laborers. Okay, but the domestic consumers also demand less. So quantity demanded decreases and the quantity supplied here increases. So we can reduce. So before we add a tariff, quantity imported is here. So we label here by quantity of imported. Like we import a lot of this much from China. Okay, but if we add a tariff, now you can see the gap, the differences between QD here and the QS here is reducing. Is it getting smaller? Okay, so now this is the quantity we imported from China. You see, by adding tariff, okay, so US government can reduce the quantity of goods and services we imported from China. Because that is the purpose for adding, once again, tariff policy. Okay, so this is called importing tariff. Okay, actually, this is not a new stuff. Okay, once again, we learned about this. Actually, in with more greater details. Okay, in your notes number 4, in your macroeconomics, notes number 4. Did anybody get the notes? Notes is in the chat box. Those is in the chat box. Send them again. Okay, this is the first way. Okay, this is the first way. Actually, the second way, how we can reduce the quantity imported. So another way we can do is called setting something, adding something called the importing quota. So what is a quota? Quota kind of is an upper limitation. Okay, kind of is a restriction, upper limitation of how many of the quantity we can import it from China. And the quota is the upper limitation. Like at most, we can import like let's see 30 units of a pencil from China. So 30 is the upper limitation. At most, we can import 30 units from China. So 30 is called a quota. Okay, so let's build a graphical model for quota. And once again, this is your domestic market. Imagine you get some Americans. This is your domestic pencil market. So once again, if we do localized production, the pencil price could be very high. So let's see $4. And the same story. So same pencil if produced by same pencil in terms of quality. Kind of everything if the same, if produced by Chinese worker. So due to lower cost in China, so the price only is $2 cheaper. Okay, so we label this one by world price. And the same story, next step, if we don't regulate the market, if we don't do any intervention as a US government, the QD could be way more higher than quantity supplied. So in such a case, we import so many things. We import so many things, so many units of a pencil from China. Okay, so the next step is the question, how we can reduce the quantity we imported from China. Okay, we can set something called a quota. So where is the quota? Okay, so now let's see. Okay, let's add some labels, add some numbers. Maybe it's better. So here, go back to the. So initially we consume 30 units. 30 units, okay? So when the price has been lowered to $2, American students they consume, let's see, 50 units. And the domestic producers, they only produce, let's say, 10 units. So now the quantity imported equals to 50 minus a 10, so equals to 40 units. So this is the units we import under free international trade policy. If no restrictions, we import 40 units from China. Okay, but as a US government, okay, if you think of 40 units are too much, you want to reduce the quantity, then you can directly set something called a quota. Okay, if you think 40 units is too much, then how many units we can import it from China? You can set an upper limitation. For example, if you want to reduce 40 units to 20 units, you want to lower the value of importing by 50%. So you reduce by 20 units. So the quota is 20 units. Okay, so you could see, oh, at most, we could import from this much from China. So this part is called quota. How big is the quota? 50 minus 30, so equals to 20. Okay, this is an upper limitation. At most, we can import 20 units of a pencil from China. So by adding this quota, then one more step, final step is also the domestic producers, now they got opportunities, they can produce more. Okay, now the domestic producers, they can produce more. Okay, so the effects of this quota actually is shifting domestic supply curve to right. Okay, so if domestic producers can produce more, then what? Then the domestic demand can be lower a little bit. Once again, that is a main purpose of adding trade restrictions by US government on the goods and services imported from China. Mainly, they want to protect domestic workers. Okay, because once again, American workers are losing their job opportunities. Because once again, a lot of American firms, business, they don't want to physically assemble, they produce their products domestically. Okay, because of the production cost in China is super low. In other Southeast Asian countries, okay, so way more lower than if they do the production domestically. Okay, so this is a note number 6. Any other questions about note number 6? No questions, guys? If no questions, let's do some written response. Okay, the first type of question, we need to review some questions regarding like how we calculate, for example, absolute voltage, comparative voltage. Okay, this kind of thing. So, or maybe we can do this. This is on page 68. Okay, in the PDF document, page 68. So this is a typical question regarding how we calculate, once again, comparative voltage, absolute voltage, that kind of thing. Do I need to send this document to you guys again? Okay, you just open this PDF document here and turn to page 68. Okay, let's give you guys 10 minutes and try all these questions. Because we have finished, you can put your answer maybe in the chat box so I can check the answer for you guys. Okay, let's do this one together. So you got your PPC. Okay, I got a PPC. And the two countries, I got two countries of PPC, China and Luna. Two countries, right? So first question, ask about which country has absolute advantage in the production of machines. So the keyword really is absolute advantage. So what is absolute advantage? Using equal amount of resources. This is given by the question, right? Using equal amount of resources, if you can produce more. Okay, if one country can produce more, okay, that means because the country has absolute advantage in producing machines. So machines on the horizontal lines, which country can produce more? So Luna can produce more. So let's see. So let's do the answer. So using same amounts of resources, Luna can produce more machines because 40 is greater than 10. So Luna has absolute advantage for producing machines. Okay, I guess this is the answer for the first question. And the next question, question number G. So very similar. So this time using same amount of resources. So food is on the vertical axis. Oh, Luna still has that advantage for producing food because 40 is greater than 30. So we just change the price a little bit. 40 is greater than 30. So Luna has that advantage for producing machines. But this one is for producing food. Yeah, this is a question for G. This is the answer for the question G. Question H, which country has a comparative advantage in producing machines? So this time, absolute comparative advantage means a lower opportunity cost. So this time we need to do some calculation. So this time opportunity cost for producing what? For producing machine of Luna equals to 40 divided by 40. Okay, so equals to 1 unit of food. Okay, so we need to do a comparison. So we also need to calculate opportunity cost machines of another country is called China equals to, in order to produce 10 machines, China needs to give up totally 30 units of food. So we do 30 divided by 10. So 3 units of food. So we just compare 1 unit of food and the 3 units of food for sure. I guess Luna has comparative advantage for producing machines, okay, due to opportunity cost is lower. For this type of question, if you do the re-examination, you must show the calculation. Okay, you must show your calculation. You must have this kind of calculations here. Okay, so if you didn't show your calculation, I guess you cannot get the full mark. So next question, with the trade between these two countries, which country will import food? So one conclusion we can get from question H here is Luna has a comfortable for producing due to work. So Luna will export. So Luna will export. Okay, let's add one more line here. So Luna will export machine. Okay, then we can easier to answer the next question. So because Luna is exporting machines, so Luna import food from machine. Okay, this is a question okay, the last question. So give an example of a term of a trade, terms of a trade. Okay. So let's see, maybe one possible term of a trade. Let's take a guess. 10 foods here maybe equals to so Luna now is exporting machines. Luna will export machines. Luna. Okay, for Luna, this is my example. Okay, let me explain why my example here is mutually acceptable by two countries. Okay, because the conclusion we get here is Luna now is exporting machines. So if Luna can use 10 units, 20 machines for 10 food. Maybe 20 foods equals to 10 machines. So if now Luna is exporting machines. If Luna want to produce some food by themselves, like if Luna sacrifices 10 units of machines, they can produce 10 units of food. So through international trade, if they can convert 10 machines to 20 units of food, okay, that is absolutely better for them because they can get 10 units more food. Another side for Ashina now is producing food, I guess. Okay, and same thing, if actually now want to produce some machines by themselves, let's say 10 machines, they need to give up like a 13 food. Okay, but with this term of trade, they only sacrifice 20 units of food to they can get 10 machines. So this is also better for China. Yeah, so this is my final answer. So 20 foods equal 10 machines. Okay, so this is a term of trade, I guess, mutually acceptable by both countries. Okay, so this is everything you need. Okay, so question F here, question G here, question H here, question I, and question J. Yeah, totally 5 questions. Any questions about regarding all these answers? Any questions? No questions? Okay, no questions. Let's move on. Another type of question we need to practice here is about the economic growth, because today we also finish notes number 5. It's about international economic growth. So maybe we do 2019 question 2. And especially be careful about the question D here. Okay, question D is kind of the relevant, is relevant to notes number 5 we done today. Okay, maybe 10 more minutes. Let's try to finish question 2 here. So the first question, be careful. You'll need to put your short-run Phillips curve and the long-run Phillips curve into same graph. Okay, don't need to. I could do two different graphs. So we just put the two curves together. So let's do this. So because this is a Phillips curve, so we label the horizontal line by unemployment rate. And this one's called inflation. Short-run Phillips curve is a downward sloping curve. Short-run PC. And this one is a long-run PC. So the intersection here is called the natural rate of unemployment. So this one is 4%. So this one is called the expected inflation rate is 3%. Okay, but the current is changing another color. So the current payment rate actually is 6%, is higher than 4%. I just put 6% on the right-hand side of 4%, right? Because it's greater than 4%. So that means the current inflation rate is less than 3%. So that is the answer for question B. So you should choose less than, because the answer is here, should be lower than 3%. So question C, assume loans were made take into account for expected inflation 3%. Will lender be better off or worse off after realize the actual inflation rate identified in part B? Lenders. So the keyword is lenders, not borrowers, but the lenders. Okay, so lenders are better off from fixed interest rate. Better from a fixed interest rate because borrowers are paying higher interest rate compared with interest rate they should pay, considering actual inflation rate lower than is lower than expected. And the last question is D. So natural rate of unemployment will decrease percent. Because if interest rates are lower, producers We will borrow more money for investment. Leading to stock evaluation, which is good for economic growth. So basically, you just kind of connect those keywords we learned from those number four. You can kind of organize a full sentence. Okay, to explain what is a lower interest rate, because what we got from question C here is the actual interest rate, actual the cost of borrowing should it be lower than 3%, or should be lower than 3%. Okay, so here I mentioned if interest rates are lower, so how producers, how Canadian firms will respond to this lower interest rate? They will borrow more money for investment, and the investments again refers to those money spent on goods and service, spent on productive machines, equipment, tools, that kind of thing. So if they borrow more money to do investment, so this really can lead to something called a stock accumulation. Like how the Canadian firms say they buy, they get more equipment, tools, machinery. So that is good for non-economic growth because we got more stock resources. Okay, so this is the second half of today's lecture. We did two written response uh, practical questions. So the first one, once again, is about how we calculate comparative advantage, absolute advantage, because this is the most important question, type of a question relevant to notes number 5, notes number 6, international trade. Okay, and the second question we did here is about economic growth. And once again, the most important question, okay, is about the interest rate. It's about the lower interest rate and the long run economic growth. Okay, if the interest rate has been lowered, okay, they borrow more money to do investments. That is a good for non-economic growth. If no other questions, this is for this week. Okay, next week we will finish up the last lecture notes is about international finance. And in that lecture, we will focus more on, once again, exchange rate. Okay, like why, like the question we mentioned today, like why Canadians, like we need to use more money, kind of like 1.3 Canadian dollars to buy, to convert, to exchange just 1 unit of USD. Like why USD kind of the more expensive than Canadian dollars. Okay, so we will do that part in next week. Okay, if no questions, see you guys next week. Bye bye.